Well, I think there's two aspects, as you mentioned. The first one is business tourism. You've got 1,000 delegates attending the World Economic Forum and most probably an extra 500 people that are support staff. This is an opportunity for us to profile the city, profile the mountain, profile the V&A waterfront, and people become aware of all of the various attractions in our city. Of course, part of this process is to sell the pre-conference tours and the post-conference tours. And we also know that at a later stage, many of the delegates will come back with their families and will come on holiday over here. So from a tourism point of view, this is invaluable. But I think the real issue here is, what does it mean for South Africa? And this is where Brand South Africa will come out with its sort of positioning of South Africa, trying to build on the notion that South Africa is a potential springboard for doing business into Africa, the fact that we have the second most stable banking system in the world, we ranked number 8 in the world in protecting investors from directors, talking about that strong legal, technical operating platform that we have for doing business in Africa. And of course, for us in the Western Cape, we know that in 2011, 70% of South Africa's investment into Africa came out of the city. So that connectivity and linking up with governments and businesses across the border is critical for our businesses in the city. This is an invaluable conference, and we hope to make sure that we keep it, that it comes back every second year to Cape Town.
Now, you're going to be attending. What lessons are you going to be drawing out of it as CEO of WESGRO that you're going to be applying to the businesses and economic structures in the Western Cape in order to ensure vibrant, economically active economy?
Well, of course, after the plenary, there's a number of sessions which you can choose to attend. We're obviously going to focus on infrastructure. We're going to focus on ICT and social entrepreneurship. But really for us, this is a marketing opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to meet peers from other African states, to meet heads of FMCG companies operating on the continent, speak to some of the trade ministers from some of our big trading partners such as Mozambique, Nigeria, etc. So the bulk of what we're going to do is marketing. And I think we've got a couple of propositions that we're putting on the table. We're talking about the asset management sector in Cape Town that manages over 600 trillion rands worth of assets. How part of that asset allocation is now going into the continent, from infrastructure to agriculture, etc. We're going to talk very seriously about our oil and gas services sector that we have. That gives us linkage into countries such as Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, and more recently Mozambique and Tanzania. And of course, we're waiting for the National Minister of Trade and Industry to complete his process of applying his mind on whether he's going to issue us the IDZ license for Saldanha Bay. That'll be a game changer. That's a huge investment recruitment opportunity, but it's also an opportunity to crowd in new players. And I think part of our marketing as well is we'll talk about some of the investment that WESGRO brought into the province last year. One that I'd like to mention is a Chinese electronics company that makes LCD and LED televisions in the city. And it's going to grow its market share in South Africa out of the city, and then it hopes to start exporting these cross-border into SADC, which is part of the tariff-free process that we have. So these are messages that we're really going to push hard and try and get those linkages with our key business partners.
Let's look at the bigger picture now. The theme of this year's World Economic Forum is delivering on Africa's promise. In your view, how can that be achieved? I know it's a big question to ask.
Well, look, that is a thesis in itself. But I think we should look at where we were last year in Addis Ababa, where we were talking about unlocking the potential. And really the whole discourse is about deepening the consensus of what is that proposition that Africa has and how do we get there. For your viewers, just to put it into context, 6 out of the world's top 10 fastest growing economies last year came out of Africa. 4 of them on the West Coast, which is obviously a focus area for us in Cape Town. So what we need to do is we need to deepen that consensus. There's been a huge shift. There's no if debates anymore. It's about how do we get there. So what we'll be doing is participating in that, looking at the debates around infrastructure. Africa has a $93 billion infrastructure deficit a year. We need to get that kind of money each year just to get a minimum set of infrastructure in place. That's ports, that's airports, that's railways, highways, dealing with metropolitan infrastructure. We'll participate in those discussions and look for some business opportunities. We have a company in Cape Town that exports automated transport systems. So they do all the traffic lights, all of the cameras that go on it, and all the fines that go with that as well. So we'll be looking once again for those opportunities in there. I think the consensus is there, The World Economic Forum does push programs out after the conference. From Addis Ababa last year, we had the Grow Africa initiative, which focuses on agriculture across the continent. And farming in Tanzania is very different to farming in the northern parts of South Africa. And then, of course, there was the big infrastructure program that came out of WEF in Addis Ababa with the African Development Bank. And I'd like to see that discussion deepen and some more extension of those projects. I also think, that South African business doesn't pay attention to the African Development Bank. There's a huge amount of tenders that are going out, which are calling for capital and expertise and project management skills. And I think our companies have a lot of strong skills in that area.